Hello, it's Gary, and if you are watching this video, it's likely because you have the Liberator model kit that is currently on sale over at gundogshop.com. Yes, Gundog, the hit podcast and soon to be a published novel, is now also its very own online merchandise store. And watch this, I can make magic happen right here on the stream or on the video. Gundogshop.com. If you're watching this video for some other reason, you didn't know that we had all this cool merchandise, head over to there right now. We have things like this really cool iron-on fabric patch that you can stick on a backpack, stick on a baseball hat, stick it any way you want. There's t-shirts, there's mugs, there's baseball hats, there's hoodies, there's all kinds of cool stuff. But the main attraction is this, and I've got one here that I prepared earlier, this very cool model kit, the scale model kit of the Liberator, which is the hero mech from Gundog, the titular Gundog itself. Let me get that a little bit closer to the camera. It's super cool. I made this one yesterday. And once you've made this, you can paint it, you can do whatever you want with it, you can put it on your desk. It's very, I mean, it looks good even unpainted. But if you paint it, you can you can make it look really cool. And here's kind of the back side of it. And I'm thinking about even doing a contest. Once lots of people have got their hands on these, maybe doing a contest for like the best paint job. But here is the finished version of it. And like I said, you can get that over at gundogshop.com right now. Let's get rid of that text so we can focus on this. Get back into focus, please, camera. Where are you? Come on. Focus on my face. There we are. Yeah, so if you are here because you followed the instructions that came with the kit that you ordered from gundogshop.com, there should be a little QR code in the box or a link that sends you to this video. I thought this would be the best way to kind of do instructions for how to build the model, because you do build it yourself. It's not just a toy, it's a model kit. It's for people that like to build things, or even like me who have never built anything before but are kind of interested in doing it. I've got some friends that are really into kind of Warhammer miniatures and stuff like that, and I actually sent this kit to some of them and they had a lot of fun building it. And I think you will too. And I thought rather than like try to do instructions or whatever, it might just be more interesting and more fun to do a little video where I will build one in real time. There's going to be no edits or cheats or anything. I've got the pieces here in front of me. I haven't done any prep work or anything. There's not going to be any tricky edits or anything like that. We will do this in real time. And I thought by watching this video, you can either build along with me, you could watch this video in real time as you build yourself, or just use it for reference if you're trying to figure out just where the pieces go or whatever. This should serve as a useful guide to how to build your very own Liberator. So let's get into it. So when you ordered your kit, you would have got these. This is what it looks like. I've got another one over here. I mean, it really is just like the pieces are just going to come in this little bag, and when you tip them all out onto your work surface here, you'll have these 12 little pieces, and it isn't necessarily completely obvious how they all fit together, which is why I want to do this video. I'm going to show you how it all works. And in terms of what else you might need, or what you definitely will need to pull all this together, the magic word is super glue. And of course, there's all kinds of varieties of this available. I've got crazy glue here in a little squeezy applicator bottle. I've got crazy glue in a little brush form. And I've got some good old-fashioned Loctite super glue. It's all basically the same stuff, but this is what I grew up with in England when I was a kid. And over here, I think crazy glue is the most popular brand. But it's all basically the same stuff. But there's any kind of super glue or crazy glue will do the job. So let's get into it. We have these 12 pieces, and I kind of figured out how to make this, you know, as I went along. Oh, and one other thing that is useful to have, if you have any kind of like craft knife, utility knife, or anything, I've got a couple here. This is like a standard kind of X-Acto box cutter style craft knife, and then I have this is what I just use around the house for like my daily knifing. You know, if I need to stab or cut or slash or gouge anything, this is my go-to folding knife. I've had this Stanley knife for years, and I do sometimes use it for little kind of craft projects as well. And And the reason why you might want a knife is that when these pieces come out of the mold, and model makers tell me this is not atypical, there will sometimes be little pieces, extraneous pieces left over. For example, on the head unit here, you will see this little extra piece here. That's not meant to be there. And in many cases, it will simply snap off very, very easily. In other cases, you might need to just kind of like, just cut it off with a knife. But most of those little extraneous pieces will just snap off with a little twist and a pull. But a knife could come in handy for anything a little more stubborn than that. And we may encounter a couple of those pieces as we go. So let's get into it. The way that I do this is, if you look at all the pieces here, there's a head, there's kind of a torso, waist unit, then there's 2 arms, 2 legs, a base, and a couple of very fiddly little thruster things that I prefer to leave until the very end. So let's see how we build this. I usually start, because it's an easy way to get started, with kind of the main head unit, and that comes in 2 pieces. There's this piece right here. Again, on the finished model, it's this piece right here that we're dealing with right now. There's this piece, and then there's kind of a top cover that very, very simply fits right on top. And when you have this yourself, you'll see like it's very kind of obvious how these pieces are meant to line up. So let's get into the gluing action, and please be careful with crazy glue. This is serious stuff, and you will get your fingers stuck together if you're not careful with it. A little dab will do you. Just apply a little bit of crazy glue on top here. Stick this piece on top, get it positioned the way that you want, and then just kind of grip and hold. And you want to give this, as you're holding it, if you've ever worked with super glue or crazy glue before, you know how this stuff works. It's very, very strong, and it takes about 20-30 seconds. Give it a good squeeze, apply plenty of pressure. I know professional model guys, they like to kind of put a little clamp on it so then they have to squeeze it with their fingers, but I don't have any of that pro gear here, so we're just going to use good old-fashioned fingers. And the number one trick, and I'll tell you from my hardware experience, this is about the 5th one of these model kits that I've built. And when I've made mistakes in the past, it's always because I'm too impatient waiting for the glue. I'm thinking that must be 20-30 seconds, right? No, it's actually been more like 10, and I'm just impatient. And when I let it go, the glue hasn't bonded yet, and then you've got to start all over again. Apply more glue. Suddenly there's glue everywhere, and you're in big trouble. But you want to hold this for like a good 20 to 30 seconds, which I think it's at least we've been at least there. And this should now have a good bond. And those 2 pieces are now assembled quite well, I think. It won't be fully cured, and the glue won't fully be completely stuck together until, like, I would leave it overnight. But for the purposes of continuing the model, this piece is now like good enough to continue with. So that's kind of the easy way to start, is just stick the top of the head onto the main piece. And again, you'll notice here there's a little extraneous piece here. That is a little bit too much to just twist off. So this is a good example of where I would want to get the knife out and just give this a little cut. Chops right off. Little extra piece there. And that's done. And if you want to get really serious about this looking super good, you can get like a piece of sandpaper or a sanding block and sand that down. Actually, I have one here somewhere, but I'm not going to use it right now because we're going to just zoom through this. But if you want to do like the fine detail work, especially if you plan to paint this, going over it with a little sander and kind of sanding everything down to like a nice smooth surface definitely will pay dividends when you want to paint it later. But let's move on. Headpiece done. Next piece is the kind of the torso waist area, and you'll see here right away we've got some work to do here, because these 3 pieces, these little prongs, these are left over from the mold. This needs to be a kind of relatively smooth surface on top. So here is a good example of where I am definitely, I'm going to get the heftier knife out here and chop some of these little pieces off, little snippy snappy. This is going to come off as well quite easily. And here's the 3rd one. Don't bark, doggy. There's nothing scary going on. Hello. I've got a dog under here. Hello, little friendly dog. Don't worry, nothing's happening. I know you don't like loud noises. I'm sorry. You're a good pooch. Hello. What you doing? Okay, so these 3 pieces, and then if you want to get really, again, I could use a sanding block right here and really sand these down, or you can just kind of whittle it down Just get it to like as flat a surface as you can. And once you've got that whittled down flat, you'll be able to apply this to, you'll notice there's like an oval shaped bottom there. This is an oval shape as well. It's going to lock right in. It's only going to fit in one way. It's going to fit in like that. And you'll notice if it looks kind of crooked when you put it in, that's intentional, because the design of the finished model, you'll see, is it is kind of leaning over a little bit. It's on kind of a jointed waist, and you can pose this in kind of different ways, but the kind of default pose is for it to be kind of, it's like it's turning. I didn't want it just to be standing still. When I was talking to the model designer, I was like, can we make it look like it's, you know, in the middle of some kind of action-based movement? And so it has proven to be. And so locking this, locking the head into the kind of waist area is where we're going to go next with this. So again, a little bit of glue in here, and then I'm going to slap this in here, and again, hold it. Again, it's supposed to be a little bit crooked. The head is supposed to be kind of slightly askew. And again, I'm applying a fair bit of pressure here between finger and thumb, just to make sure that that glue really bonds. And again, this is usually about the time. That's surely been 30 seconds. It's actually been more like 10. And so you want to give it plenty of time. Be patient. If you are too hasty, it'll end up being counterproductive. It'll take more time because it won't stick, and you'll have to do it over again. And again, I'm not going to do any edits here. We're doing this all in real time, so this will give you a good sense of like what it takes to build it in real time. Usually, I mean, again, I'm quite practiced at this now. I can usually do these in about 15-20 minutes. If you really, again, if you're going to do all the sanding and really getting all the little extra nubs off, you know, exactly the way you want it to be. If you take this very seriously and professionally, it might take you a little bit longer. And again, this is supposed to be fun. I don't look at this as a chore. I think it's actually kind of fun to assemble these. I think I might do a live stream at some point where people really can build along. But I wanted to make sure that if you've ordered one of these, when you take it out of the box, you're not immediately stuck in terms of like, well, how am I supposed to put this thing together? Because there are a couple of areas where it's not like immediately obvious how this goes together, which is why this video is here. But okay, so now this is now has a nice little bond. So we've got three pieces: the headpiece, the top of the headpiece, and kind of the waist torso are all now nicely joined together. And so again, it's totally up to you what you want to do next. I kind of feel like doing the legs next. We have two legs here. One thing to know is that this is not like a chicken walker. The legs do bend forward from the front of the base, and it's angled in such a way that, again, the two legs aren't right next to each other. You see, it's actually kind of in a walking pose right here. And so the number one tip for when you're putting this together is, however you angle the legs, you want to do it in such a way that both of the feet are equally flat to the floor. Kind of the surface of the feet are parallel to one another, because they're both ultimately going to have to fit on this base. One other thing that I should mention is that when I send these out, if you have your kit, look at the underside of the base. You should see, if I've done my job right, that underneath here there will be some initials and a limited edition model number that I have personally put there myself. These are all going to be kind of monogrammed, initialed, and numbered by me. This is a very, very limited edition. We've only made so many of them, and once they're gone, they're gone. So again, if you are interested, go to gundogshop.com and maybe you can still get one. Again, we're not going to replenish or reorder these. This is like the only ones we're ever going to make. So, base, legs. Let's get on with it now. Now, this is a really important part. This is actually, okay, so these legs, this is where you are going to want a knife. Not every time, but you probably are going to want one here. Depending on, every kit's different depending on how the piece came out of the mold. I just picked one at random. Again, I'm not trying to cheat, like, oh, I'm going to pick the best one or do any work ahead of time. You'll notice that here, these pieces here are not supposed to be there. This is supposed to be a flat base. So we are definitely going to need to get the knife out here and hopefully not freak my dog out again as I try not to chop my fingers off and instead chop off the bottom. These are actually fairly chunky pieces. We're going to want to make sure we get these. Let's see. Almost got it. This is the trickiest one right here. This one's really thick. Got that one. Hello, dog. I summoned you again, didn't I? and then this one, like that. And then once you've got the main pieces down, you can just kind of like whittle it away. It's like a good old-fashioned wood carver, like a wood whittler. Just kind of whittle these down. And again, it is important that you get this part is the one that you want to make sure you get as flat as possible, because this is ultimately going to have to go on the base plate. So I'm going to continue. Hey, you need to quit it. Get this nicely whittled down to something as flat as possible. And in fact, bear with me for 1 second. This is something else that I got. Let's try this real quick, see if this does anything at all. Is I got a little sanding block here. And again, just rub this on the sanding block. Oh, that actually works quite well. Just rub this on the little sanding block here. And that is actually now really nice and flat. And perfect for placing on the base. This leg as well also has some little spurs or little niblets that are left over. We're going to want to get rid of those. Come on now, there's one. This is the biggest one right here. Came right off very easily. This resin type plastic is actually pretty soft, so it's very easy to get even the chunkiest pieces off. What is with you? Here, come here. Want some bonus dog content? Look, I really do have a dog. You little pooch. She gets freaked out by loud noises. It's okay. It's okay. Alright. Okay. So we have these 2 feet. They have both been sanded down, I think, into good shape. And you will notice it's not, you can't get the left leg and the right leg mixed up because they only go on in one direction. There's a little hole there that's going to go into the joint here, and they will not line up with each other because again it's meant to be kind of like mid-stride. And then the most important thing again is you put these together is making sure that the 2 feet are aligned flat. You don't want them to be like that. They want to, because they're both going to go onto the same flat surface. So let's see, this one goes, this is the right leg, and I'm going to apply again. We're going to get a little bit of crazy glue. We're going to go right in here, just get a little dabble do ya, and we are going to apply it right there. I'm going to get the leg flat, and we are going to just hold like that. This is where I get impatient, is with the legs, because the glue really needs a minute to bond here. And I've had some wobbly legs in the past where I haven't been patient enough with letting the glue bond and do its job. So you want to give this again a good like 20-30 seconds at least before it, because I can feel right now as I'm holding it, it's still a little bit wobbly. It will start to bond, but you've got to let it do its thing. Just hold it for God damn you. Hold on a second. A little bit wobbly still. I'm not going to do any edits. We're doing this all in real time. And that is basically kind of okay. Okay. Still a little bit wobbly. I'm going to leave it for a second. But what I can do while I'm doing this is do a little bit of glue on the other one, and then I can squeeze both legs. Let's put a little bit of glue on here as well, make sure there's plenty. Again, you don't want to overdo it, but I tend to anyway. And again, as this one goes on, make sure that the foot is kind of aligned with the other foot. And now I'm just going to squeeze both together and kind of do both at once. Oh, god damn you. See, I told you it's a little bit fiddly. Okay, I'm going to hold both of these together and hope that they hold. We're getting there. It's quite hypnotic actually, waiting for this glue to bond. What are we doing? We're getting there. Give it a good squeeze. There we go. We are getting there slowly but surely. Again, it never hurts to just hold it and squeeze it for a little bit longer. The longer you hold it in place, the longer you kind of keep it where you want it to be, the greater the likelihood that you're not going to have to go back and do this over again when you realize it's too wobbly still because the glue didn't have a chance to properly adhere. Okay, I think that's looking all right. So again, for the most part there, you will see, it doesn't have to be exact, but you want those feet to mostly kind of be flat with one another. Okay? And now we have some legs. We're going to leave that just a little bit here. I'm going to put it on its head. Is it going to... Okay, I'll leave it right there. Okay, so arms are next. And there's kind of the way that the arms work, there's kind of two pieces to it. This is almost like a kind of a Bandai Gundam kind of scenario where the pieces come on rails. These pieces snap off very easily, like that. These, this little rail piece you don't need. And these are pieces that kind of go between the main body and the main arm. These are kind of like side armor plates. And again, it should be fairly obvious which side they fit on because there is a circular nub there. And there is a circular indent, my thumb's concealing it, on each side of the body, and that will show you where where the arm pieces go. So what I typically do is apply a little bit of glue to the circular blob there and to the indent, get it on both sides. Do I actually have that? That's actually the wrong piece. Ha! Let's see here. We're going to go over here, a little bit of a blob of glue there as well. Okay, and we are going to lock this in. I'm really trying not to get any glue on my hands. Oops. Okay, here we go. Most of the glue fell off there, went onto the cutting board. Get a little bit more on there. Okay. And we are going to slap that on there. And that is going to hold. I'm going to hold that like that. Come on. Get in there. Okay, I'm going to give that a squeeze. And again, this is another one where you could theoretically kind of do both sides at once. Also try not to get your fingers stuck, as I just did. I do that a lot. I get a tiny little bit of glue on my finger, and then I get stuck to the model. And it's not good. Okay, hold that a little bit longer. Again, what I want to do is get a little bit of glue on both sides so I can just squeeze them both together. I can kill two birds with one stone here. A little bit of glue on both sides. A little bit of extra glue there. Oh, that's actually... hold on. Where are we going here? There we are. Oh, wait. This side. My bad. We want this side. There we go. Just slot that little... It's easy. It's hard for me to kind of show you on camera, but it is right there. And as we hold that together, that should adhere quite nicely. And these two kind of shoulder armor pieces now will start to bond, and we should be in good shape on both of these sides. There we go. Alright, so it's coming together. You can start to see the shape of it now. Legs. Shoulder pieces are there. And again, you can see the little circular indents where the arms are going to go. So... almost quite freestanding, not quite. That's why it comes with a base. And now let's take a little look at the arms. Again, this piece here, extraneous, snaps right off. We've got some extraneous little pieces here. Snippy snappy, you snap right off. This last piece here, this one in the center, needs a little bit of extra help. So we're just gonna snap that right off there. we can start to think about getting these arms on. And again, it's obvious which arm is which, because the little circle pieces are only on one side. And this is where you've got an opportunity to kind of like pose it a little bit. The arms, you know, can kind of go on any rotation. So if you want one gun facing up or one down, or if you want them both in the same direction, it's completely up to you. It's a circular little, you know, fixed point, so you can really do whatever you want with it. With this one, I'm going to have, let's have this kind of just like facing directly forward and maybe down a little bit. And we'll just hold it like that. I do think it's generally kind of interesting if the guns are kind of slightly in different spots rather than, you know, kind of facing in different directions. And you get a slightly more dynamic model if you but I mean, you know, how you pose it is, of course, in terms of like the gun direction, is completely up to you. That will now stay by itself, meaning that I can now hopefully get a little bit of glue on this side as well, and on this little circle fixture piece. Hold on a second. Right there. There's my little circle, and we can add this gun. And again, I'm gonna, this one gun's aiming down, so I'm gonna have this one aiming a little bit differently. Oh, god damn it, the other arm fell off. See, this is the problem where I get impatient. I get impatient, and I'm not following my own rules. Let's try this again. A bit of glue. This is how you know it's not edited or cheated in any way, because I am leaving all the mistakes in. Alright, let's hold this for a little bit longer. Okay, this one I'm going to point up a little bit. Okay, I should really be counting. I'm just gonna eyeball it and just guess it. This will have us up to about, oh come on, hold on, glue. How is it that my fingers stick instantly to the model but the plastic pieces don't? You never noticed that? We're almost there. Just gonna leave it a little bit longer, make sure it holds. Why is this one not sticking? Why do you not want to stick, you little fucker? Come on. Do we need a little more glue? Maybe we need a little more glue. There we go. And I try not to overdo it, because sometimes the glue, you know, squelches out and then you get some messy residue. But in this case, I think we might need it. Hold it in place here. We're getting there, we're almost done. After this, there's just the base and a couple of really fiddly bits that I always leave until last, because I think they are the fiddliest. In fact, you can even choose to leave them out if you want, because they're very minor pieces. But if you want a complete model, you'll want to do it, and I'll show you that a little bit when we get to it. They're very, very fiddly. One of the things that I learned to do from making these is leave these little fiddly, these tiny fiddly bits at the end until last. Okay. Okay, I think that's looking a little bit better. And now hopefully we can get this other one on as well. A little bit more glue, squeezy, squeezy, squeezy glue, squeezy glue on here. There we go. All right, now let's try on this side. Now again, I had that gun up, so maybe this one down a little bit. I'm gonna just hold it. Come on now. Just got to be patient, which is really, that's not my strong suit. This is why I have trouble with these things. Every time I build one, there's at least one arm or leg that falls off because they didn't hold it in place for long enough. Just apply a bit of pressure. We're getting there. Just a bit longer. Okay, that looks alright. Okay. Alright, I like the gun position too. I think that kind of worked out okay. Alright, now. want to make sure that that's really, just going to kind of hold both sides in here as I do this, just to make sure. It's actually starting to look, I mean, you can see it's, I mean, the model is essentially basically finished now. There's two little thrusty bits that are going to go on the back. And then the base plate, which is really the easiest. I think the base plate's really easy. We can actually do that right now while we wait for this to finish. Let me just lean this here real quickly. So the base plate, fairly straightforward. It actually comes in two pieces. There's this, and then there's just a little extra kind of scenery bit here. Again, I've got some little extraneous bits that I'm going to want to remove from the bottom part. But again, very easy to do that. That's done. There we go. And then there's two little pegs that are going to fit into these two little slots right here on the base. And a little dab of glue. This is I think this is like the easiest part. A little dab of glue. Okay, let's do it like this. A little dab of glue here. Dab of glue there. Okay. And then we're going to insert these little pegs into those glue holes and hold. I'm going to give this like a good 20 seconds. Meanwhile, the arms and legs are still kind of curing over there, hopefully getting a stronger bond. Okay, I think that's in pretty good shape. Now, what we are going to do next is attach the model itself to the base. And there's no like super obvious place where like the feet are supposed to go, but there are some like flat surfaces where, you know, it's kind of obvious that the pieces are gonna adhere. You can do both. You can attach with both feet or just kind of do one foot, depending on kind of how it's positioned. You can also just turn this base around and look for like the best possible kind of flat surface area. Just look for a good area where the flat of the foot, you know, kind of goes against the flat part of the base. There's no like obvious like peg or anything. You just kind of like eyeball it. And I think I've got spots for like both feet here to attach, or I might just do this one actually. I think I've got a good spot for it. So I'm going to put some glue right here on this flat plate area. Let's get a little bit more actually, because it's got to support the whole model. So I'm going to squeeze that a little bit more. I'm also going to put just a little bit on the actual sole of the foot of the thing. Squeezy, squeezy. And then we're going to just press this down and get it held in place. I'm just going to hold that right there. Like that. There we go. And now it looks like the other foot's on the floor too. So again, if you want to, you can find a spot to attach both feet. That's actually how I've done it with all the other models. For some reason on this one, I'm just doing it with this one. It's because I feel like it. And then we're going to hold this hopefully for like another good 30 seconds. And that should leave us with a freestanding model once I've got this locked in. And then we can look at the last little fiddly part. Let's get in there. Try not to fiddle and move it around too much so that glue has a chance to stick. How's that looking? If I lift this base up, will it come with it? Yeah, okay. And now I can kind of like press it from the, oh, god damn you, it's not going to stick right away. Press it from the underside. Okay, it needs a little bit more glue. And maybe it needs on the other foot as well. Like I said, all the other ones that I've done have been both feet. Yeah, I've got an idea. Okay, so we're going to go here. Come on, glue. I don't like the little squeezy stuff on this, on these bottles. I'll go here. I'm going to go over here as well. Okay, now we've got some extra glue. I'm going to get it on both feet and hold both of them down. Just kind of pressing down from the head here. I'm sure the comments are going to be filled with people saying that you're using too much glue, or you shouldn't put it on both surfaces, or don't do this or don't do that. I'm not an expert. I'm not a model maker. I'm just kind of showing you like how this is really just kind of like showing you like how the pieces are supposed to go together in case there's any confusion when all the pieces come out of the bag, because it's not super duper obvious in terms of like how you apply glue, how you actually make the pieces adhere. You probably know way more about that than I do, and I advise you to just like do it the way you would want to do it. This is really just to show you like how the pieces actually kind of fit together in relation with one another. But I do think it is definitely worth putting glue on both feet, because that's the way that I did all the others, and you'll probably get a sturdier build at the end of the day than trying to do one, because I tried to cheap out there and kind of just do one, and it was still a bit wobbly. So I think by putting the glue on both feet here, we will have a slightly, or hopefully much better result. A little bit longer, because it's the base piece. I want to make sure it gets attached properly. Almost there. Let's see, how's it looking? Will it pick up? Okay, it's going to pick up, but I'm going to leave it just for a minute here, and I'm going to talk to you about these other pieces. These are the last pieces. These little, they're teeny tiny. When you open the bag, you could easily lose them. In fact, they're so small that, for example, on this piece here, again, everyone's different, but on this piece here, the actual model piece is smaller than the extraneous pieces that are going to need to be clipped off. So by the time I twist off these extra pieces, all that's left, as you will see, is this teeny tiny little thruster, little rocket booster thing. There's two of these. I've got them both here. I'm going to take off this extra little piece, and I've got them both here. Little teeny tiny things. This is starting to, I think, look a bit closer to being fully adhered. But again, with the base, I really want to get it right, so I'm just going to continue to hold it for a bit longer. Make sure it's good. How are we looking? I think we're looking okay. All right, and now for these two final pieces, you will notice that on the underside, on the back side underside, there are these two little circular indents. There's one here, and there's one on the other side here. And this is where your little rocket nozzles go. And now you want to make sure, because it's such a small area for the glue, you want to make sure this is as flat as possible. This is another one. I'm just going to like sand it down just a little bit to make sure I have as flat a surface as possible for the glue to stick on. A little sandy. Not a bad idea to have one of these little sanding blocks. It actually came in really handy on this one. Okay, and now a little dab of glue on this circular indent. Come on, a little dibby dabby. Come on. I don't like the design of these glue bottles. I really don't. You've really got to shake it to get a decent amount of glue out of it. Come on. I mean, I understand why they don't want too much coming out, because, you know, even a small amount of this is pretty potent. But then once you've got that little bit of glue there, you should be able to just stick this on. Hold it there for a sec. Or, you know, again, not a sec, more like 30 secs. And it should, because it's such a small, tiny little piece, it only really needs a little bit of glue. That's the first one. Again, I should have really held it for longer, but whatever. And then this will be the last little piece here. Come on, you piece of glue. Hold on, I'm going to put this like this. I'm really going to squeeze it. Double-handed squeeze. Or I could cheat. Use my other bottle here. This has got a brush on it. Let me just do a little brushy. There we go. Oh, this is actually easier. Should have been using this stuff all along. Brushy. Okay. And then the other little thruster nozzle doohickey is going to go right here. I'm going to give it, just going to hold it in place. Give it a second to adhere. I might need a bit more glue. This is why I leave this one until last, because it is tricky because it's so small. It's very fiddly. A bit of extra glue. There we go. I'm trying to make sure that it doesn't stick to my hand more than it sticks to the actual model that I want it to stick to. I'm going to hold that just for a little bit longer. This is definitely the pieces that have given me the most trouble. To the extent that I almost was like, you know what, don't bother with these little pieces. Who's going to notice them anyway? They're in the back. But if you want to, like, the complete model, this is what you're going to do. Come on, hold. If I use my other thumb that's less gluey. Because look at that. Stuck to my thumb, no problem. This is great if you want to stick model pieces onto your skin. Not so much if you want to stick one model piece onto another model piece. There we go. Get it just right. Hold it for a sec. The nice thing is because these pieces are so light, they will adhere without too much trouble. There we go. I got it. Okay, so I'm going to leave these upside down for now so that gravity doesn't work against us. But those are the two kind of rocket boosted thingamajigs on the back side there. And that should be a completed model. I think we probably spent, the videos can be going for about 40 minutes. I think we probably spent about 30 building the actual model. But that is the completed Liberator. And let's compare this to the one that I just made yesterday. Again, slightly, you can see very different in terms of like how the guns are positioned, the gun arms. This one's a little bit more radical. Got one shooting up in the air. On this one that I just built, the guns are kind of mostly pointed like a little bit more downward. So that's really up to you, you know, what kind of pose you want to go for. But this is the one that we just built, and I think it looks pretty good. Again, once this is done, once you've got it built, if you want to make it look really cool, you can paint it, and that's a whole other thing. Maybe I'll do a stream on that where I talk to like a model painter about how to do like a good paint job on this. But even with just like a layer of base paint, I've seen some people have sent me pictures, friends that I sent early versions of the model kit to. It looks really good, even just with like a layer of base paint. And that's before you start doing, you know, custom livery or whatever, you know, color scheme you want to do. And I think it would be really fun to kind of experiment with different custom paint jobs and what have you. But that is pretty much it. That is how you build the Liberator. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section below, and I'll be monitoring comments, and I'll do my best to answer any questions that you might have. I hope you enjoy building this. Like I said, if you've already ordered one, this is the video that you'll have used to figure out how to put the pieces together. And if you are intrigued or interested in owning your own kit, having seen this video, then once again I will direct you over to where are we here? There we go. I'll direct you over to gundogshop.com, which is where we have the limited edition. Again, we've only made a few hundred of these. I do expect them to go quickly because, you know, they'll be signed and numbered and exclusive and limited edition and all that good stuff. So I think there's a good chance that they will go relatively quickly. But if you head over there right now, I think there's a decent chance, you know, if you're watching this anytime soon after the video is posted, that there'll still be some available. So head over there and get one and enjoy building it. Like I said, I've got one here. This is one I built yesterday. I think they both look pretty good. I'm very excited by these model kits. Excited to be able to offer them. The book will be available soon. All Gundog all the time. Thank you so much. And don't forget to like and subscribe and all of that good stuff. And I'll see you soon.